Christ come to fulfill? When you ask people these questions, everyone will say that Christ came to do away with the law. He came to fulfill the law. But when you ask them, show me in the Bible, is that true? You hear crickets. That's all you hear. Nobody can prove that Christ came to fulfill just only the law, because first and foremost, that's not true. And we're going to touch on a little small aspect of that, showing that that's not true what we have heard in our lifetime. Before we start off, give me John 21, chapter 21, verse 25. These are some of the lies that you have to tear down from Christianity, because we were taught these lies for many, many, many years. And now it's time the truth need to come out.
The book St. John, chapter 21 and verse 25. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, everyone, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written.
There's not enough books in the world to be able to contain the things that Christ has done in his lifetime. That's to tell us something. That's to really pause right there and tell each and every last one of us something. We complain about we got too much to do. The Bible just told us if there's not even enough room to contain the books of the things that Christ has done. So, in the context of my class that I'm teaching, that God laid on my spirit to bring forth to give people better understanding, it's just only a small aspect. It's just only a small mustard seed that I'm giving today, class. Like I said, the title is, What Did Christ Come to Fulfill? So I'm just going to give a small little portion, because if I give more of the portion, I won't be able to contain the whole thing anyway, first and foremost, because we would never be able to go to work because we've been here that long. I won't be able to contain half of the stuff if I do it today in just this short period of time that we have. Because it's too much to show in the book what Christ came to fulfill. But I'm going to tell you one thing that was not part of it is doing away with the law. That's a lie. The only part of the law that he did done away with is what? Anybody got a clue? Sacrificial law. That was the only thing he did away with. So with that being said, give me Romans 15:4. And for those that are online that is watching, Shalom, Most High Christ bless to you as well for being here with us.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
For our learning. The thing that we have to learn today, what did Christ came to fulfill? This is part of the things that was written aforetime to teach us some of the things that Christ came to fulfill. Read.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scripture, might have hope.
For we can have that hope, understanding what Christ came to fulfill, that we won't fall ourselves in the midst of sin and telling people, oh, the laws of God is done away with. This is what the stuff that is written aforetime is trying to teach us and help us understand what Christ came to fulfill. John 8 and 32. Christ did not come to do away with the law. How can Christ come to do away with the law? His Father sent him to give better understanding of the law. That don't make no sense.
The book of St. John, chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
The truth of God's word is going to set us free from the second death. And learning the truth is learning what Christ came to fulfill. What was his purpose here on this earth? Why did he have to come in human flesh to fulfill what? From there, give me John 6 and 38. Same book, chapter 6 and verse 38.
The book of St. John, chapter 6 and verse 38. For I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me.
Christ said he did not came down to do his own will. He came to do what his Father sent him to do. Read.
And this is the Father will which had sent me, that of all which he had given me, I should lose nothing.
All that he had given unto Christ, he should not lose nothing. Meaning Christ came to fulfill what his Father sent him to do, to redeem who? The nation of Israel. And he should not lose those that come his way. Read.
But should raise it up again at the last day.
Because he's going to raise Israel back up again in the last day. That was his mission. That was his job. That was his will he had to do. Read.
And this is the will of him that sent me. That everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him.
Believe it on him. Not the way that Christianity say, just believe on Christ and you can be saved. But the laws of God are done away with. That's not what Christ said. Because when you look at it, he keep on mentioning the will. When you look up in Psalm, hold to God and give me Psalm 48. Because he mentioned will what? 1, 2, 3 times so far in that same chapter.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God, yea, the law is within my heart.
The law is within his heart, meaning in his mind. That is the will of the Father, is the law. So right here, we see Christ already explained it to us. He said the will 3 times in verse, 38, 39, and reading 40. Go back to John. He said the will 3 times in that area. So Christ letting you know he came to do the law of his Father, not of his own will. Read.
The book of St. John, chapter 6 and verse 40. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which sees the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day.
So when you understand precept, and you go back and you read verse 40, it would sound like this. And this is the law of him that sent me. See how that make more sense? So Christ tells you, he come to give us the law of his Father. Because he give it to us what in the wilderness, and what did we do with it? We throw it away. So now Christ coming back again, tells us, and this is the law of him that sent me, that everyone will see the Son and believe it on him may have everlasting life. Read.
Verse 41. The Jews then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is not this Jesus the son of Joseph?
So these Pharisees and tribes, they were carnal-minded. They don't remember prophecy when Moses already prophesied. If they would remember the prophecy that Moses prophesied, they would have known that this is the Son of God. But their mind was so clouded, and they were going after their flesh and not after the will of God. Just why they didn't understand when Christ said, I am the bread was coming down from heaven. Read.
Whose father and mother we know. How is it then that he said, I came down from heaven?
Oh, read verse 42 again.
Verse 42. And they said, is not this Jesus the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know?
So this right here should be a cut to you stupid behind Christianity folks. These people literally tell you, is this not the son of Joseph, whom father and mother we know? So they know that Christ had an earthly father and he had an earthly mother. This right here will kill Christianity all day. With this, what do they call that stuff? That foolish doctrine that they have called, what the some of this up in Christ God? Yeah, immaculate conception crap. That killed that right there all day. I can't pronounce the word right. Because it don't make no sense. Read.
How is it then that he said, I came down from heaven?
Read.
Jesus therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me.
Paul, this is another thing that will make them feel so stupid. They were speaking among themselves, and Christ knew what they were saying. Christ tells them not to even murmur not among yourselves. Basically, he said, you man not speak what you say. But Christ already know what they were saying. Because the first part let you know, he said, I am not that bread which came down from heaven. Did not the children in the wilderness eat bread from heaven? Who gave them that bread from heaven? It was Christ. Read on.
No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me drew him.
See what that? This is why I say we are here teaching the laws and the commandments of God. The only people who are going to be able to come to Christ is those that God sent to. Those will be the only people that are going to wake up to the truth. A lot of us got families and friends that are going to never wake up to the truth, brothers and sisters. And that's something y'all going to have to accept. Because only those that God sent to Christ, those are going to be the elect that are going to accept the truth and going to work after it. And going to keep the laws and the commandments. But if we continue to keep on worrying about, oh, this person, that person, and then you lacking on your part, you're going to lose your own salvation because you worry about people that's not safe for Christ. You got to remember the story Christ told the disciples now. He said, have I not chosen y'all 12, and one you are a devil? But the rest of them, when Christ had told them to drink of my blood and eat of my flesh, what did they do? They walk away. They said, oh no, we don't honor, we ain't dealing with that. Because they were carnal minded because they didn't understand what Christ was saying. Christ was letting them know that he was that lamb that's going to be sacrificed for the nation of Israel. But they didn't understand it because why? There was a sent for God. Just like the 12. Christ picked every last one of them. And he knew Judas was going to be the one to betray him. That's the same that we're seeing today, brothers and sisters. Christ had wakened each and every last one of us up to the truth. It's up to us to hold fast to it, or you're going to lose your own salvation. And I'm keeping it real with you. Ain't no time to be knick-knacking around, playing around with your salvation. You got to examine yourself and find where you fall at. And start to work on it. Read that again.
Verse 24. No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him. And I will raise him up at the last day.
At the last day. Brothers and sisters, we are in the last days as we speak. And Christ is raising each and every last one of us up to come back to the understanding what did he came to fulfill. What was Christ's purpose here on this earth? And what do he require of us? Read.
It is written in the prophet, and they shall be all taught of God.
They shall be what?
All taught of God.
This is when we come, when the Romans said the things that are written in the aforetime is written for our learning. Through patience, we shall have hope. Today, we are having hope because why? We see the scriptures being fulfilled. We just got to be patient and wait till Christ come to redeem us. And hold fast to what we already learned. Stop playing because this ain't no game to be playing with. This is your salvation that Christ is trying to tell you to hold fast to. Do we all follow? Read.
Every man, therefore, that had heard and had learned of the Father cometh unto me.
See what he said? Coming unto who? Christ. Once we learn and we understand and we heard the laws, we start to apply the laws within our life. We start to rehearse the righteous act. Not hearing the word and then you're going back out in the street doing what you want to do. That's not the way of salvation. You're not going to be saved from the hand of your enemies in the daytime when that bomb drop off. Or when you take your last breath on this earth. We got to remember, keep your mind in the scriptures and continue to keep on working toward the scripture. But like I said, a lot of the tribes and the Pharisees did not understand what Christ was saying about, I am the bread which coming down from heaven. If they understand this, they would understand what Moses was prophesying way back then. Give me that in the book of Deuteronomy 18:18. They would remember Moses told us that there was going to come a prophet. Moses warned us about that. And this shows you how the tribes and the Pharisees did not want to hold fast to what was being taught to them. Throughout their generation continued to keep on wanting to do things they want to do things. This is why now they are passing this law and take away the Bible. You get talking, teaching the Bible, you are guilty for hate speech. And you ought to be thrown in prison, or most likely probably put to death. Because why? God said if they had, how that scripture go? If they had known of me, they would have been of me, or something like that, how the scripture go. But we got to understand, these people of this world, they are the enemy unto God. They are not God people. They is not God friends. And for those that say they are Israel, some of them is going to be enemy unto God as well. And if they are enemy unto God, who do you think they're going to be an enemy toward? His people. Matter of fact, before you get that, go give me that, because I just say something. Give me Psalm 83. Is it 83 or 81? Crafty counsel. Yeah, give me Psalm 83 to prove what I'm saying. Because we already understand they can't touch the Most High God. They can't touch Christ. So who do you think they're going to attack? They're going to attack his children. Read that.
The book of Psalm, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silent, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies.
What?
Thine enemies.
Thy enemies, God enemies, read.
Make a tumult.
They make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
See, they hate God, and the enemies start to lift their heads up. This happened way back then, and it's the same that we're seeing now. There is nothing new. Everything is a circle. It can repeat itself over and over until Christ come and redeem us. These people hate God, and they hate God people. Read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
See what they did? Crafty counsel against thy people. Meaning these people come together to try and figure out laws. How can they come and make God people stay in sin or kill those that don't want to fall to sin? These people sit together and come up with these stuff. Let's talk about Jay-Z and P. Diddy. Let's put that out in the media for everybody mind to be focused on that. Let's talk about I think the other singer they got going on, rappers, I think Chris Sean, whatever his name is. Let's put that out in the media and let them have a conversation about that. Let's go ahead and throw what's going on in the wall of distraction toward the people too. Keeping you away from the words of God. Let's go ahead and sit down with all these major companies and make up laws that they have dependent on their job to make the people do. Why do you think a lot of our jobs doing the same exact thing? When COVID break out, then not everybody's job was mandatory to wear masks? Was not everybody's job mandatory to do certain things that you be saying in your mind, we don't even do that, so why we got to do this? They don't even consist of our job. Because who do it? The masses behind the doors is setting laws and commandments. These people is coming together to try to figure out how can we destroy the nation of Israel? How can we keep them in sin? But those that don't want to stay in sin, those that follow his laws and commandments, how can we kill them or put them away? All right, we're going to make our laws to say if they're reading things out that Bible that is hate speech, we're going to go call that a crime. Anti-Semitic. When we are Semitic. But guess what? They don't want you teaching that. Oh, we know how we can shut them down, or they still want to take it. Make their job, fire them. Shut down their bank account. Take their children away from them. They will try everything to make you buckle to your knees to bow down to them. This is why I did the class a while back. You got to learn how to let things go. If you willing to hold on today, guess what you're losing? Your own salvation. So right here we see these people have made crafty counsel against thy people. Read.
And consulted against thy hidden one.
The hidden one. We was the hidden one, brothers and sisters. We was the one did not know that we was Israel. We was the one did not know that God was our God. We did not know that God gave us the laws and the commandments. We did not know that. We did not know that Christ was black. We did not know that we're not supposed to be celebrating pagan holidays. We was those hidden people that was lost. But now that we are awakened, they coming against us. That's why I say, they take crafty counsel against thy people and consult against thy hidden ones. Because now they coming out at us. Oh, you want to do this? This is what we're going to do to you. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 18. So like I was saying, if they had understand what Christ was saying, they will understand that Christ was letting them know that he was going to be that lamb that's going to be sacrificed for the nation of Israel. But the tribes and the Pharisees did not understand that because why? They were carnal minded. They operate according to the flesh and not the spirit. Read that, 18:18.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among thy brethren.
Among thy brethren. See, it's just like today's time now. They look at Christ like, who is you? You know nobody in high standard. You raised up what? Your daddy was what? A carpenter. Your mama was what? A little farm little girl. Who is you? You raised up in the house with the scribes and the Pharisees, the high elect people. You went to the same school we went to. Who is you? That's how they looked at Christ. That's the same that they look at us today. You see these brothers on these streets that probably had records, probably was homemongers, was liars, all kind of stuff that you know of, and now God allowed his spirit to dwell in these brothers, and now these brothers bringing forth prophecy. You like, who is you? I remember you when you was a little boy. You was snotty up at the nose. You would pee in the bed. Who is you? They don't look at you as God people. They don't look at you as gold. They don't look at you as something high standards. This is why when you see a lot of our people today, when one of these celebrities come out and say, oh yeah, we are the Israelites. Oh, you hear what Muscom say? Oh, you hear what this person right here say? Because they don't look at you, they all want to look at what Esau set up in high standards. They want to look at celebrity when celebrity don't give a pee about you. When God is setting the real prophet before your face and you're not even paying attention. He said, God said he will raise up them a prophet from among their brethren. Read.
Like unto thee, I will put my words in his mouth.
See what Christ, and Christ has told us that. He said he came to do the Father will, not his own will. Right here, Moses prophesied that before he even came. Because Christ told Moses back then that he going to put his words in his mouth. And that's what Christ came to do. Teach his Father will. Read.
And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
All that he command them. Read.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
See this? So you don't want to hear the words of the Christ, your day going to be judged. Because God set Christ up in the position to fulfill what needs to be done for the nation of Israel. That's the same thing what we're doing today. God set these brothers up to be prophets among the nation of Israel to prophesy God's word. That's why we tell people, when we speak, we don't speak our own word. We're going to speak the words of God. Whenever you ask us, we're going in the scriptures. That's why I laugh when we look at some of these people. No, we don't want to hear what the Bible got to say. What you got to say? We know right there what spirit you are. You are those tribes and Pharisees. Because you should never come out your mouth, I want to hear what you got to say. There's the Bible. It should all be on what the Bible says. Because guess what? The Bible never lies. But man lies. But God would never lie. Do we follow? So from there, let me get Matthew 5. So where did the story come from? The title come from? What lay on my spirit to come up with this title? Chapter 5 and verse 17.
The book St. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
That's the first thing Christ told us. Think not that I come to destroy the law. Why would Christ say that in the beginning? Because Christ already know it's going to be a bunch of wicked behind people want to change his words. And we see that today. Christ reminds right there on the dot, think not that I come to do away with the law. Because what we just read in Deuteronomy, God will set up a prophet among our brothers. And he should speak who words? God's word. This is why Christ started off in the beginning. Think not that I come to destroy the law. Read.
Or the prophet.
Or the prophets. Because who prophesied that? Moses did it. Moses was a prophet. Moses prophesied that Christ would come to be the Savior for the nation of Israel. And he would speak God's words. God's word would be in Christ's mouth. Read.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
But to fulfill. Read.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass.
Christ is making it even more simple for us to understand this part right here for verse 17. He said, read that verse 18 again.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass.
Until heaven and earth pass. Now, we all went to school, right? Everybody went to school? When we go outside and we look up, is the heaven still here? Or are we still walking on the earth today? So, 17 is about already clear that Christ did not come to do away with the law or the prophets. But Christianity, they still asleep. They probably thinking they're not walking on earth no more. Because in their mindset, America is heaven. Read.
One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law.
Christ said not one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law. We touched on that, I think it was Wednesday. Just giving simple, small law, like your fridges. That law still exists. Honor thy father and mother. That's a little small jot. That law still exists. Love thy brothers as thyself. That law still exists. Keeping the Sabbath day holy. That law still exists. So we see the small little thing that the prophets prophesied to the nation of Israel, according to the law, these things still exist. Read it again.
Verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled.
Until all be fulfilled. Guess what? The prophets prophesied Israel going into captivity. That law had to be fulfilled. The prophets prophesied that, guess what? The nation of Israel going to be delivered by the hand of Christ. Have that happened yet? So how could the laws be done away with? See how clear that makes sense now? So we have not been delivered not yet from the hand of our enemies and set in our homeland. That means, guess what? the law still exists. Because all the prophecies that the prophets prophesied have not come to pass. Have World War III broken out yet? No, it have not. So that means the law still exists. This right here is so easy to understand that a baby can understand it. Read.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach man so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
The least in the kingdom of heaven is meaning damnation in hell. Because no one in heaven are going to be least. All the brothers and sisters that are going to be in the heavens are going to be great people. So right here we see, for anyone that teach these little ones that the laws of God is done away with, you will be in the lake of fire. This coming out of Christ's mouth. Read 19 again.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach man so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
You will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, meaning you will lose your salvation. Because, like I said again, there is no one going to be the least in the kingdom of heaven. Even a doorkeeper, you hear people always sing that song, I will be a doorkeeper. The doorkeeper is going to be great. Because guess what? When you read in Revelation, I think it's 21, when they say the angels going to be at the door, making sure no one come in. You think you're going to be a least person monitoring the door of the heavens? No, you're going to be great. Meaning you're going to have power to keep people from not coming into the gate. Ain't nobody going to be least. You keep going by. That's a weak-minded person. A least person is a sin. You're not going to be that person monitoring the door. The least in the kingdom of heaven is not going to be the one cleaning no toilet or sweeping no floor. Guess what we doing that? Your slave. You read that in the book of Isaiah 14. Somebody said, you lying. Let's go ahead and get it. Give me Isaiah 14. Let's prove it. Let's find out what the other heathens going to be considered as. Isaiah 14, and let's start, let's make it straight to the point. Just all right, one.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
In their own land. Look at this context of it already. He said, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel. Remember, God is dealing with two nations. Jacob's name is really just Israel. But he making a context because the simple fact, you got the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Jacob will be considered as Israel because why? Israel is the landmass also before it became a landmass. It was called Israel. Jacob's name will change to Israel. So we've seen that God will bring both of these nations together. We read back in the book of Ezekiel 37 when he talked about the two sticks. Read.
And set them in their own land.
God gonna set us in our own land. Nobody gonna set us in our land. Ain't no white man gonna sit you in your land. Ain't no African gonna sit you in your land. Ain't no Chinese person gonna set you in your own land. It's going to be God that's gonna set us in our land. Read.
And the strangers shall be joined with them.
And now you got the strangers that gonna be joined with us. How would they be joined with us? Are they going to be joined with us lovey-dovey? Let's see. Read.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servant.
For what?
For servant.
Slave.
And handmaid.
Slave.
And they shall take them captive, whose captive they were.
Because we are their captives today, brothers and sisters. We working for them. We cleaning their toilet. We sweeping their floor. We keeping their business up and running. Read.
and they shall rule over their oppressors.
And we will rule over our oppressors. So like I say, this prophecy has not been fulfilled yet. So for we to see this prophecy being fulfilled, we got to do what? Keep the laws and the commandments. So let's get into it. Give me Isaiah, where we at? Go back to Matthew 17 again. I missed something. Now I'm in Matthew 5 and 19, I think.
Verse chapter 7.
No, go to
17.
verse. Go back to verse 17, comment something like that.
The book St. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 17. Think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophet. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
And another reason why Christ told us, think not that I come to destroy. Because Israel don't consider nothing. Israel don't want to listen to nothing. Give me that Isaiah 1 and 3. Let me show you why Christ told Israel, think not. Why Christ say that?
The book of Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner.
The what?
The ox knoweth his owner.
Christ said the ox knoweth his owner. Read.
And the ass his master's crib.
And the ass his master crib.
But Israel does not know. My people do not consider.
But he said, Israel does not know. My people does not consider. Why would Isaiah say that Israel would not consider? Why would he say that? Give me that in Isaiah 30 and 1.
The book of Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord.
Because Israel is rebellious. They do not want to listen. They do not want to keep commandments. They do not want to listen. I don't care how much you try to teach Israel, they do not want to consider. Try to keep it up. There's angle there. Read.
And that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
See what Israel do? Israel always wants to add sin to sin. They never want to hold themselves accountable for nothing. This is why Isaiah said the ass and the what that thing was? The ox know their owners. But Israel do not consider. Israel don't consider nothing. We go out here and we tell people they are the Israelite, what do? They laugh at you. When you tell them, no, we got to keep the laws and commandments. No, we don't. The laws and the commandments don't win with. Nobody can keep those laws in the Bible. That's what we hear all the time. Because why Israel do not even consider. Even though that's in the truth, don't even consider the fact that they got this far in understanding the scripture, they don't even consider half of the time. Because why? They still want to hold on to families and friends. This is why the Bible said Israel do not consider. Read 31 again.
In Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
See, they don't take on the covering that they can hold on to what the laws and the commandments say. They want to just go towards sin. Because why? They lean toward their flesh. This is why Christ said in Matthew, think not that I come to do away with the law or the prophets. Christ had to make sure he make that perfectly clear. Because why? Israel always loved to add sin to sin. What is the sin to sin that they add to? Oh, guess what? He's saying you be the least in the kingdom of heaven. Let's find out what the least in the kingdom of heaven really is then. Give me that in Isaiah 66 and 23. Let's find what will be the least in the kingdom of heaven.
The book of Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
Read.
And they shall go forth, look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
This with those that going to be the least of the kingdom of heaven. They're going to be in the lake of fire. And the one that keep God's laws and commandments, these brothers and sisters, they're going to see that. Because jump on to verse 15.
Verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariot like a whirlwind.
This is what's going when World War III take off. When Christ comes to redeem his people, he is not coming back as a lamb that Christianity want to imitate on TV. This ain't going to be a disaster going on when Christ come back to redeem Israel. Christ is not coming back like he did in the manger and growing up. Christ going to be a grown, full man coming back to redeem Israel. And he coming back in his full glory to destroy this place. Read.
To render his anger with fury.
Why will Christ come back with his anger with fury? Because why? The nation already disgraced the earth, and then you got his own people that want to do what they want to do. So Christ is coming back with his judgment. Read.
And is rebuked with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
That's the least in the kingdom of heaven. That's right there. Meaning Christ going to be putting y'all butt to death. Those that don't want to keep his laws and commandments, those that teach man so, you will be put to death. Let's find out what some of the things that Christ will be putting them to death of. Read on.
Verse 17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eating swine flesh.
What is swine, brothers and sisters?
Pork.
Pork. Now, is that part of the law that God said we're not supposed to eat? So why God had to make sure he mentioned that? When Christ comes back, he's going to be doing what? Killing those that eating swine. Who are here ready to tell your loved one not to eat swine before? Is they still eating or they stop? They still eating. So guess what?
Ain't no way, boy.
If your family is the one that you told they want to keep on eating, they're going to be put to death.
Got it.
I don't care who you are. If they still eating that swine, your behind going to be put to death just like a pig. Just like they cut the pig up, you're going to be cut up when Christ's sword come and hit you. Read on.
And the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord.
But check this out. I'm going to slip that too. Because I already touched on this one. But he said, and the abomination. So guess what fall underneath the abomination? When you serving other gods, that's an abomination. When man lay with man, that's an abomination. When woman lay with woman, that's an abomination. Guess what? Celebrating Christmas is an abomination. Celebrating Mother's Day, that's tomorrow, ain't it?
Yep.
That's an abomination. So guess what? All those that celebrating these holidays, and you think God gonna let you slide, or you still in that midst, when Christ come back, you will be put to death. So it'll be amazing if Christ will pop up tomorrow, because there will be a lot of death on the earth. And some of them is in the truth, gonna be put to death.
Bruh.
So, digress, I had digress for a minute, but let's get back. So to try to get, like I said once again, that's still part of it. what did Christ came to fulfill? Christ came to fulfill what he had to do, what his Father sent him to do. Like I said, I'm going to touch on this very small portion of it. The first part I'm going to touch on is the birth of Christ. Was that prophesied that how Christ was going to come? Read Matthew 2:1.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 1. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem.
So right here we see that they speak about Christ being born in Bethlehem. Let's see if any one of the prophets prophesies this. Give me Micah chapter 5 and verse 1.
I'll get it. The book of Micah, chapter 5, verse 1. Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He have laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon his cheeks. But thou Bethlehem, Ephraim, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be the ruler in Israel.
See right there? It said, these shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel. This is what Christ came. Hold what you got right there, and let's go back to Matthew. Back to Matthew chapter 2 and 1.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 1. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet.
For this is written by the prophet. Remember that. This is written by the prophet. Read.
And though Bethlehem and the land of Judah are not the least among the prince of Judah, for out of these shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Rule my people Israel. Rule my people Israel. Go back to Micah again. I don't want y'all to lose the context of it. 5 and verse 2.
The book of Micah, chapter 5 and verse 2.
Verse 1.
Chapter 5 and verse 1. Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He had laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek.
And that is exactly what they did when they crucified Christ. Read.
But though Bethlehem, Ephraim, though thou be little among thousands of Judah, yet out of these shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel.
To be ruler of Israel. What did they say Christ came to be?
Ruler.
A ruler of Israel, when we read in Matthew. To rule his people. His people, Israel. So Christ came to only teach the nation of Israel, not all mankind. Read.
Whose going forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Therefore will he give them up until the time that she which travelleth had brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel.
So right here we see that Christ was going to be a ruler unto the nation of Israel. Christ came to do his Father will for his people, Israel. This right here was prophesied by the prophet Micah about the birth of Christ. So that's one chant that Christ came to fulfill. The next thing that Christ came to fulfill was the healing the sick. Give me that in Matthew 1-6. Matthew 1-6. Matthew chapter 11, 1-6, my bad. Matthew chapter 11, 1-6.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11 and verse 1.
So how you should be taking your notes down is the way how I'm bringing it out for you to be able to understand it more better. So when somebody come and ask you what the Christ came to fulfill, you can let them know simple and easy. The first one we did was the birth of Christ. The second one we're going into is the healing the sick. Read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their city. Now when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples, and said unto him, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? Jesus answered and said unto them, Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
So you see right here, John started having a little doubt within the flesh as to Christ. Is he's the one? So we already know that John the Baptist is really considered as also Elijah. Because you go back in the story that I was reading this week too, you can tell those spirits never really changed. Because even when John baptized Christ, he saw the heaven open and he said, This is my beloved son. Then when you go back in the story of Elijah, remember Elijah was powerful. Elijah marked them when they were trying to burn and catch the ark on fire. And he said, Go ahead, cut to your car, scream out loud to your God. And nothing ever happened. But when Elijah did it, the fire came from out of heaven and burnt up everything and dropped the water. And Elijah killed like 400 of their guys. Then you had that Jezebel, she got mad. She said, oh yeah, I'm going to kill you. Like that, said, when you did mine, I'm going to kill you as well. So Elijah got afraid. After he saw all this miracle God did for him, Elijah fled because he thought Jezebel going to come and kill him. So you look at that story, and you look at this right here now, John was about to be put to death. When you read, because remember, John Hill was going to get cut off. John was in prison. So that same spirit on Elijah back then touched him again in this lifespan as well. But he needed someone to what? Remind him who he was. Same thing as Elijah. The angel had to come and remind Elijah to strike him back up. Same thing we see right now. Christ is telling John about the story about what he's supposed to come and do. Heal the blind. Receive sight to the, rebuild and receive sight to the blind and heal the lame. So when John got this information, that was striking John back up, knowing that he is the one. Y'all see that? So let's find out if this was prophesied to be. Give me Isaiah 35. Isaiah 35, and we're going to start at verse 5.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 35 and verse 5. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall water break out, and streams in the desert.
So right here we see that Isaiah was prophesizing what Christ's going to do when he walked this earth. He going to give the the blind to be able to see, eyes gonna be open. When you read the story of Christ, Christ was healing many blind people. And he did it in different ways. One way they say he spit on the ground and made mud. And he put it on the man's eye, and the man began to see. Some of them he just speak it and the man's eyes open. So showing Christ will let them know I can heal you in any form, any way I want to. Because I got the power to do that. Because his Father gave him that power to be able to do it. So right here we see that Isaiah prophesied that Christ was going to come and heal the sick and the lame. When you read in all the stories, that's why I said, if I would go through every last one of them, we'd be here till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Good. And that still won't be enough time to cover. So we see right here to get into the main point of it, to give you that understanding what the Christ came to fulfill. Christ came to fulfill was what prophesied of him. He had to fulfill everything that the prophet prophesied. Because another part of the story, when you understand, why did the prophesy these things? Who told the prophets these stories and what the Messiah was going to have to do? When you read the line of the story in the Old Testament, it was Christ teaching all the prophets. A lot of people think, oh, God. God dealt with Moses directly. Christ dealt with Moses directly. So we see throughout the story, Christ was telling all the prophets, and all the prophets prophesied the same exact thing, just in a different storyline. No one did nothing different. This is why it killed me, and I just gotta say it, when people want to jump from camp to camp, when you got some of the same camp teach the same exact thing. So, newsflash, when we get into the wilderness, you think it's going to be a different teacher? No, it's going to be the same thing. The Most High God depends on some people's spirit to break it down more better than other people. But guess what? It's still going to be the same thing. Because when you read the story of Matthew and then you read Luke, Luke was more dissect the story. Matthew just gets straight to the point. But Luke tells you all the detail and what went down, how it went down, and this wouldn't take place. But they still say the same thing. Ain't nothing changed. Once again, that's just people who walk in the flesh instead of in the spiritual mind. They want to see things so perfectly fine. The next thing Christ came to fulfill was Christ going to be glorified when he comes through the city on that short period of time. Give me that in Mark 11 and 7. Mark 11 and 7.
The book St. Mark, chapter 11 and verse 7. And they brought the coat to Jesus and cast their garment on him, and he sat upon him. And many spread their garment in the way, and others cut down branches of the trees and strew them in the way. And they that went before and they that followed cried, saying, Hosanna, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.
Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Christ was being glorified at that moment at that time because why? Everybody saw the miracle that Christ was doing. And they know, they said, ain't no man on earth ever did these things. He healing the sick. He healing the blind. He raising the dead from their grave. He walking on water. What man did this? They never seen this right here before. So they were giving him glory and they were glorifying Christ. Read.
Blessed be the kingdom of our father David that cometh in the name of the Lord.
That cometh in the name of the Lord.
Hosanna in the highest. And Jesus entered into Jerusalem and into the temple. And when he had looked round about upon all things, and now the eventide was come, he went out unto Bethany with the 12.
So we see right here, Christ was being triumph, glorified, praised at that moment. Was this prophesied about what would Christ do, or what would the people do unto him? Let me get that in Zechariah chapter 9. Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 9.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass, and upon a coat, the foal of an ass.
So we see they said Christ was coming riding on an ass. Another word for ass is what, brothers?
Donkey.
A donkey. There you go. So we see that this was prophesied by Zechariah that he gonna be glorified and praised in the land of Bethlehem? In Bethlehem. So this was prophesied by Zechariah. This is what another that would kill me about Christianity. How can you reject the Old Testament when everything was prophesied of Christ from the Old Testament? So that means the only way we're going to be able to understand that when Christ said he did not come to do away with the law of the prophets, but to come to fulfill. Meaning you got to go back to the Old Testament to figure out what the Christ came to fulfill. This is why the people are confused in thinking that Christ come to do away with the law. Because they just stick it in the New Testament and not going back to the Old Testament. No one in the Old Testament that you hear in the prophet saying that Christ come to do away with the law. You never heard that nowhere in the Old Testament. The next thing Christ came to fulfill that had to be prophesied by him, that he was going to be betrayed by a friend. Meaning a friend going to be a backstabber unto him. Let me get that in Mark 14:10. A friend going to betray Christ.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 14 and verse 10. And Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests to betray him unto them. And when they heard it, they were glad and promised to give him money. And he sought how he might conveniently betray him.
So see that? Judas figured out, well, how can he betray him? The him is Christ. How can I do this? How can I make this happen? Because if I go into here and tell the people, they're going to know that I'm making something up. So I got to come out with a way to say that this man is an enemy unto Rome. Or he an enemy unto the tribes and the Pharisees. So Judah has to sit down and meditate on this. And you will have enemies that sit with you, learn your move, learn the thing that you do, learn what you say, and he will flip your story around to cause you to get killed. This is why being in the truth, you got to find out who your enemies is. This is why the old saying always say, keep your enemy close and keep your friends closer. Because you know your enemy going to kill you. But your friend can be the one right beside you the whole time that you got so much trust and belief in, it's going to be the one to put you to death. And we see that throughout the whole Bible. Israel is the one that killed all of the prophets. Because why? They do not like correction. They don't like to be judged for their doing, for their wrongdoing. So right here, we see that Mark tell a story about what happened to Christ. It had to be prophesied before it became history. Read that again.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 14 and verse 10. And Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests to betray him unto them. And when they heard it, they were glad and promised to give him money. And he sought how he might conveniently betray him.
See how the enemy operate? If they know they can't get to you, and one of your loved ones come and find and get them away, they'll get happy. That's why Esau laughed when he see us killing one another. Because now they got to say, we don't got to deal with that. It don't got to be in our hands. We let them kill each other. The tribes and the Pharisees were glad that Judas came and they offered him money to make it happen. And they know that spirit on Judah was greed. Judah had that greed spirit for money. And a lot of people, in family-wise and friends, if they know that you got money, they will do anything. That's just like I don't know if I posted, I think I gave it to y'all. There was a guy in the grocery store, and he asked the woman who was shopping, he said, hey, you want to make $1,000? And she said, how? He said, I'm going to put my hands up, and you got to go out and knead it for 60 seconds. And you do it for 60 seconds, you close your eye, and you get the money. So her dumb behind closed her eye, and he said, all right, go ahead and do it. So she started doing it, and he said, all right, 55. So she started doing, and he walked off.
Didn't you do the under the arm challenge for $1,000?
What is that?
Arm be out like this, and you're gonna void my arm for 60 seconds with the eyes closed. $1,000.
Okay, let's do it.
Then you can do it?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll be for a minute and eyes closed.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
And go. 55 seconds. Didn't you do
So she's sitting in the middle of the aisle doing this right here. Ain't nobody there, so everybody look at her like how stupid she look.
Got it.
That's gonna be a lot of our people. You thinking you getting somewhere, and you were getting nowhere.
You want to get deceived.
That's what I'm saying. You being deceived by the enemy. I hate to share that to you. I know I posted on what you call it. So right here we see Judah was close to the 12. And he knows the things and the ways about how Christ them operate to be able to betray Christ. So let's see, did this prophecy came to pass? Let's see who prophesied this. Give me Psalm 41:9. Psalm 41 and verse 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 41 and verse 9. Yea, my unfamiliar friend.
Familiar friend. A familiar friend to you can be your family and those that you grow up with throughout your life. A familiar friend is not what you call associate. A familiar friend is someone that is very close to you. They know everything about you. Read.
And whom I trusted.
And you trust that person because you raised up with the person all your life. This person is close to me. This family. They would never betray me. Read.
Which did eat of my bread.
They even come to your house and eat at your table. They laugh with you. Y'all go to a restaurant. This person know you, and you know him that you thought you did. Read.
Had lifted up his heel against me.
That lift up his heel against me. The enemy lift up their heel against me. Meaning they came to attack. As a snake, when do a snake bite at first? at the heel. So your friend, your female friend, is a snake, the Bible calls them. That's who they are. So we see right here in the book of Psalm, David prophesied that Christ going to be betrayed by a friend. One that sit at his table and break bread with him. What chapter Christ talk about that before he went to his crucifixion?
The book St. Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread.
Drop down to verse 23.
Book St. Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 23. And he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish,
He that dippeth his hand with me in the dip,
the same shall betray me.
he shall betray me. So Judas sit at the table with Christ, and he dipped his food in the dish and eat with Christ. So King David prophesies that this person who sit at my table will betray me. The person that break bread with me will betray me. Read on.
The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
Christ said it would have been better for this dude not to even been born. You see all the miracle that Christ did. You know everything that he said was true. And you turn around and you dip bread with this man, and then you turn around and betray him. But let me show you how wicked-minded your enemy will be, how wicked a snake will be before you. Read on.
Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I?
Is it I? Master, is it I?
Wait, no, wait, boy.
That's it.
He said, one of you shall betray me. And Peter said, is it me, Jesus? And Jesus said, no, it is not you, Peter. And Simon said, is it me, Jesus? And Jesus turned to Simon and said, no, it is not you, Simon. And Judas said, is it me, Jesus? And Jesus turned to him and went, it is me,
Enemy.
Wait, no, wait, boy.
Let's fast forward to today.
Wait, no, wait, boy.
You would have people say, man, I know who would say that. For real? Oh, man, that's wrong. And then the main one who probably told the whole story. These people are snakes. Your families and friends are snakes. And I'm saying that for a fact because those that sit with you and know what you're teaching them, and they turn it back and don't even want to keep those laws and commandments, these people are snakes, and they're going to bite you. So when you keep on holding on to families and friends, guess what? You will be bitten. Because why? We just read in Psalm 83. They are an enemy unto God. So if I can't get God, I'm going to get you. We are all just born in this earth underneath another vessel. Meaning, the Bible speaks on it. Your true family is those that do the will of the Father. If there is not willing to do the will of the Father, Christ is letting you know they are not your true family. See, people get mad when we break stuff out like this because they think, oh, you're trying to isolate me from my family. No, we didn't tell you the words of God. Now, we're not telling you those that you raise up when you just cast them away. No, we're not saying that. We tell you how to deal with them. Because your salvation is the one that's on the line. Their salvation on the line as well too, but if they don't want to take heed into it, damnation is going to be their home. If they want to continue eating that swine meat, they're going to get put to death. Because we just read that in Isaiah, when Christ come back, and those that sit behind the street eating swine, meaning he's going to put them to death. Meaning you sit in your house, don't want to celebrate and eat swine meat like a lot of them going to do this Sunday, with their so-called, want to say, Mother's Day. You're going to be eating your own damnation. Point blank period. These people are a snake ready to betray you when that day comes. And it's coming.
And let me get that. Just the precept for what Joel is saying. Get Matthew chapter 10. Everything he said is true and it's in the Bible. I don't want to deviate too much, but just to back up what he's saying. Matthew chapter 10 and start at verse 16. About how your enemies is going to be those that's close to you. Read that.
The book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves.
This is when Christ commissioned his disciples to go out and start spreading the gospel. All right, read it again.
Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of
He
wolves.
said, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Read.
Be ye therefore wise as serpents.
He said, what?
Be ye therefore wise as
Be
serpents,
wise as serpents,
and harmless as doves.
but yet harmless as doves. Read.
But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the
He said,
council,
beware of men, because they're going to deliver you up to the councils. Read.
and they will scourge you in their synagogues.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake,
For his sake.
for a testimony against them and the Gentiles.
Now watch this. Jump down to verse 21.
Verse 21, and the brother shall deliver up the brother to death,
He said, what?
and the brother shall deliver up the brother to
He
death.
said, your brother is going to deliver up his own brother to death. That's family. That's kinfolk. They're going to be just like serpents. They're going to deliver you up to death. That's what the Bible says. Read.
And the father the child,
The father going to deliver up his child.
and the children shall rise up against their parents
Read.
and cause them to be put to death.
Everything that Joel is saying is in the Bible. God said that your own people that's close to you is going to be the one that's going to deliver you up. For anybody to get uneasy about what we're saying, shame on you. Because all we're doing is speaking God's words. It's in there. You got to be the one to digest it and accept what the Bible says.
Read verse 22.
Verse 22, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's
He
sake.
said, you should be hated from all men. That means that out of the nation, even those among your own household. You're going to be hated because why? You teaching commandments. You teaching people to keep the commandments. Read.
But he that endureth to the end shall be saved.
But he that endures to the end should be saved. You will be saved from all of this. But a lot of people get afraid of that death here on earth. This death is only a sleeping death. That's it. But those that die in sin, your death is an eternal death sleep. Because when you wake up again, you're going to die again. Like I say, Wednesday class, you're going to die 4 times. The first time you came into the truth, you was awakened. You was back to life. When you fall out of the truth, you die a second death. Because the first death, we did not know. We was walking dead. When you came into the truth, you understand. You start seeing the truth better. And then you fall out of the truth, you die a second death. And then the third death come along the way. When you start in the midst of your sin, somebody might shoot you in your back, or you might die with some kind of disease. There go your third death. Now you sleeping in your grave. You resting. Now you wake up, guess what? Christ gonna put you back to death because you in your sin. Oh, damn it! 4-time loser. So you just love to die. I don't want to die 4 times. I already was dead 1 time until God waking me up unto the truth. And I'm praying that I stay in the truth. Holding fast till he come. Like he just said, read that part again. He that endured to the end.
And verse 22, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved.
That he should be saved. And when I wake up from that death, I want Christ to say, welcome home, good and my faithful servant. I don't want him to look at me, depart from me, thou working iniquity, and then you die again. That don't make no sense. And a lot of people going to hang down that path. And sad to say, 2/3 Israel in this land going to fall in that path. Jump over to verse 34. Going over the same thing Eli just teaching on. I mean, just been feeding on just a while ago. When we talk about family wise, read.
Book St. Matthew chapter 11 and verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth.
Because Christ said, don't think that I come to send peace on earth.
I came not to send peace, but a sword.
But a sword. So Christ did not come to send peace. What do you think his prophet is going to come to bring? We're not coming to bring peace among the household in that manner. It's going to be destruction. It's going to be some separation. Because the prophets going to lead to what Christ they teach. The prophet going to follow after Christ. Though in the woman part of it, if the woman is a strong believer, she going to lean to what her husband said, and she going to lean toward Christ. So they're going to be a separation. They're going to be destruction. Read.
For I am come to set a man against variance against his father. And the daughter against her mother. And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household.
A man's foe will be of his own household. Meaning, this is why I tell a lot of people, when you want to start going forward, God is telling us first, deal with your household. When you get that household in order and correct, then you can go among the streets and among the nation and start teaching. But your household will be the first one that's going to be a hard time to get in shape. Because why? They're looking at you as an ordinary person because they know you. Christ had that same problem. That's why I say, like I said Wednesday, there is nothing that God will put on you that's going to be too hard that you cannot bear. Because in the Bible, to show you how to overcome it. Christ had that same issue. You think Christ's family believed him? His own brother mock and laugh at him because they did not believe in him. So they did not believe in him. Would you think you better than Christ? Some of them in your family might believe, but most of them ain't going to believe. And you got to accept that. Going back to that the scripture I just said, you got to be a serpent knowing how to move through it forward. But you got to be harmless as dove because you want to see their salvation. But if they don't accept it, Christ said, dust your feet off and keep on moving. We in the truth, we got to learn how to accept that aspect of life.
Period. Period.
Period. I think Christ want to go a little more deeper in that part. So we're going to have to accept that. So we see that Christ will be betrayed by a friend. A friend betrayed Christ for money. Give me that in Matthew 26 and 15. Matthew 26 and verse 15. So the next part of what Christ came to fulfill was be prophesied that this person that betrayed Christ got paid for money. And we read that was Judas. Give me that 26 and verse 15.
The book of Matthew chapter 26 and verse 15. And said unto them, what will you give me?
So Judas asked, what you going to give me? Read.
And I will deliver him unto you.
And I will deliver the law of Savior unto you. Read.
And they conveniently with him for 30 pieces of silver.
So they agreed to give him 30 pieces of silver. How much that worth back then, I don't really understand, I don't really know. But they offered Judas, we will give you 30 pieces of silver if you get betrayed Christ. This was prophesied by what prophet? Give me Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 12. Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 12. Who prophesies this in the Bible? Because Christ said, they not that come to do away with the law or the prophet. So what prophet prophesied this right here?
It was Zechariah chapter 11 verse 12. And I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price.
So this is Judah really saying, Zechariah prophesied this. He said, if you think it's good, give me my pieces. Read.
And if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver.
How many?
30 pieces of silver.
So the prophet, Zechariah prophesied to the T on how much money Judah was going to get. Now you know that's a powerful prophecy right there. To prophesy exactly how much these people are going to give you. Read that again.
And I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver.
So they weighed to his price 30 pieces. And that's the same they go back to Matthew again. Matthew 26 and 15. That's exactly what they offer him.
But in Matthew chapter 26 and verse 15, and said unto them, what will ye give me? And I will deliver him unto you. And they conveniently covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver.
So they offer him 30 pieces of silver. The same thing with the prophets prophesied. That he asked, what you going to give me? And they offered him 30 pieces. So the prophesy was prophesied and became history in the day and time to come. So we seeing that these stuff are being prophesied, and nobody don't want to take heed in what the prophet is prophesying today. You're a fool.
In my book, read verse 15 again.
Verse 15. And said unto them, what will ye give me?
So Judas was like, what y'all gonna give me? Read.
And I will deliver him unto you.
And I'll give him up to you. What's your price?
And they covenanted
And they covered it.
with him for 30 pieces of silver.
In my book, it breaks it down with that price translated to. You know what Judas gave our Lord and Savior up for? $52.80.
Dang. That's slack.
That's the weight of
crazy.
silver that they calculated to back then. That would equate to $52.80.
God, that's a low portrayal right there.
Oh, damn the devil!
That's crazy.
Damn the devil!
So right here, we see that Zechariah prophesied that this dude was going to sell Christ for 30 pieces of silver. Next thing we see that was being fulfilled in the Bible, that Christ came to fulfill, that Christ, through all his situation that he was going to go through, he was going to be silent. He wasn't going to murmur a word through his persecution that he was going through. Most people on earth ain't going to do that. So when we got that first lash across the back, we're going to be saying, God, send the angel down and kill him. When they pluck off his beard, and you can see his teeth, because when they rip his skin, you can see through his skin. We would say, Lord, send Michael down. So every last one. We would have literally forgot about the spirit man and went straight flesh. But Christ did not mumble a word. He took that and did what his father sent him to do. Give me Mark 15, and we're going to start at verse 1. Mark chapter 15 and verse 1. Or Sodom persecuted.
The book of St. Mark chapter 15 and verse 1. And straightway in the morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council, and bound Jesus and carried him away, and delivered him to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, art thou the king of the Jews?
So you got to realize, Pilate is what we would call today Amalek. They're the white folks. These people are so glad in this day and time right now because they know the story of Christ. They know what Christ was doing during the whole time when he was walking and teaching unto his people. They know this. So you got to think about today's time now. You think these people don't know who going out on these streets and who doing what? You think they're not monitoring those that know they are Israel? You don't think that they don't know that who know that they are the real Jews? You think that the heathen don't know this? They're just waiting to the point to incite our people, the Israelites, to cause them to provoke, to betray us. This is nothing new. Just like back in those days, our people is the one who will persecute the prophets. Guess what? It's going to be the same thing in these days. That's why God said 2/3 of this land going to die. I keep on repeating that. What? Zechariah's what? 13:8. Let's get that, because I keep repeating that over and over. Hold what you got, though, because we're going to come back there. And I just want to bring that part out. Zechariah 13 and verse 8. Yeah, 8. Start at verse 7.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 13, and verse 7. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered.
See, and this going back again to Christ's death. Says, smite the shepherd, meaning kill him, and the shepherd's going to flee. I mean, the sheep going to flee. Because they say, oh, you take the head, the sheep ain't got no leaders. Why do you think every leaders that we had in America, when they kill them off, the whole movement come to collapse? Dr. King, powerful man, when they kill him, the nation moaned. It was all on TV. Everybody felt like they lost their friend at that moment. When Malcolm X got killed, people mourned because of that. But guess who was laughing? The heathen, the white man. They were glad. They don't want to see a leader rise up because they know prophecy. They know Christ is coming back for his people. And when any black person rise up, they know something ain't right. They're not worried about the Mexican rise up. They're not worried too much the Puerto Rican rise up. Because they know prophecy, the Savior going to come through the tribe of Judah. That's you so-called black African Americans. They know this. Read.
And I will turn my hand upon the little ones, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord.
It's in the land. He doesn't say a land with an S. One land. This talk about the land of America. Read. 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. 2 parts of it going to be cut off and die. 2/3 of Israel in this land. So we all went to school. You do a math shot. You got a piece of in a circle. And it said 2/3 of that piece going to be cut off. That's a big chunk. That's not no small portion, brother. You can get that online, a circle graph of that. If you can't, don't worry about it. But this is show the picture of it. When you take a pie or a pizza, and you cut 2/3 out of that pizza, and this only going to leave 1/3. It's not that much. So that's why I tell people, when we wake up in the truth, don't think everybody going to be on the same level with you. You're going to look like a small portion. Matter of fact, that's perfect right there. You can transfer that over for the people online, you see it. This right here is just a small portion you're going to see. So it makes there's only be 2 people in your city that believe. Out of all the thousands of people that live in your city, you might be the only 2 that actually be saved. The rest of them, they're going to be burnt up. Read that part again. Keep that shot up there for they can see.
Verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die.
And die. So when you look at that crab, that shark, just think about it like this. Just draw a little picture. You got the whole United States, and out of the whole United States, you just only might have one person in each state that's going to be saved. That's not that much of a people. Or you take the state and just cut the state in half, it might just be a little piece that gets saved. Half of the southern part might be saved. Or maybe just half of the northern part might be saved. The rest of the country will be burnt up. So I'm trying to keep it in a smaller portion, just in your city. Or you take the math and add, this is why in the city of Anderson, there's a couple of thousand people. This is what would be better math to break it down.
If you take that pie chart and make it 3,000 people, all right, that means out of that 3,000 people,
1,000.
2,000 is going to die.
And 1,000 will be saved.
That's what a third is. You got 10, you got 30 people. That means 20 people going to die. 3 people. That means 2 going to die for every 3 people.
So that's sad. So this is why I'm trying to tell people, when you come into the truth, you can't be looking toward your left and looking toward the right. Because it might just be you, might be the only one saved in your family. And you got to accept that. And we talk about in this land, because that's what the Bible said. In all the land, not with an S, in the land, say the Lord, 2 parts, the end shall be cut off. You know what cut off means? You dead. Read on.
But the third shall be left therein.
But the third will be left therein. Read.
And I will bring the third part through the fire.
This is really talking about literally through the fire. Because when this stuff take off down here, you gonna be that one third. Oh Lord, oh but I hope it's me. I hope I'm getting delivered. So right when you read, I think it's in Psalm. When I'm mistaken, Psalm 91, when it says you're gonna look on the right side and you're gonna see dead body on that side. You're gonna look on the left side, you're gonna see dead body on that side. You're gonna be getting wrapped up in the chariot while all this stuff going on. The Bible also gives us another clue. He said in noonday that they're going to take place. So you thinking about you might be at your job working that day. And this stuff might take off. Oh, you really look at the story too? No, I say this is my theory of thinking. During Passover, God delivered the children of Israel. When Christ was about to be crucified, it was going through Passover. He also said in Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah, he said, we're not going to talk about Egypt no more. We're going to talk about the land of the north. So, who to say during Passover, that might be the day that God said, all right, I'm going to come to deliver them. For they can remember this Passover. Who to say? Why? You notice that our Passover never fall on the same day. If you notice, it says, I know I've been in the truth. Every Passover that happened, something happened during Passover. Not one time in the truth that we've been in, nothing that happened around Passover. The walls break out. Earthquake was happening. Then you turn around, this Passover right here just passed, the eclipse happened. Then during the last one, the Beit Disease COVID happened. Every time around Passover, something break out. So who to say when the next Passover happened, when you're supposed to be congregating with each other, and you say, oh, I can't make it on that day, that's be the day God deliver us up that day. And during noonday, bombs start to drop. Who they say? This is a theory, run through your mind. Sometimes you imagine things, and you think about things that come to your mind. Who they say? But you better be ready. But he said 1/3 will Read that again, verse 9. I'm not looking. There you go, right there. Read verse 9.
Verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire,
Do the fire, read.
and will refine them as silver is refined,
There you go, read.
and will try them as gold is tried.
Uh-huh.
They shall call on my name, and I will hear them.
Uh-huh.
I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God.
All praises to that. Because we're going to realize it's the black Messiah that coming to redeem us. Ain't no homosexual looking white dude with his hand up in the air like this. No. When we see that, we're going to be blowing him out the sky.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
So, back again to Mark 15. Mark 15, verse 1. Let's start back again. I know I digressed.
The book in Mark chapter 15 and verse 1. And straightway in the morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council, and bound Jesus and carried him away and delivered him to Pilate.
Uh-huh.
And Pilate asked him, art thou the king of the Jews? And he answering said unto him, thou sayest it.
Boy, our law was cool, boy. He said, thou said. He didn't answer him, because who is you that I got to answer to? That was the attitude that Christ had. He said, thou said. You said. Read.
And the chief priests accused him of many things, but he answered nothing. And Pilate asked him again, saying, answerest thou nothing? Behold, how many things thou witness against thee. But Jesus yet answered nothing. So Pilate marveled.
So Pilate had to marvel at that, because he said, this man about to be put to death, and he not saying a word. That's just like a lamb. A lamb knows he's about to be put to death, but a lamb will not fight for his life. He will let you slay him. But Christ was that lamb that did not even say a word. So right here, let's see who prophesied that. Give me Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 in verse 4. Let's see what this prophesied by the prophet. Because it had to be prophesied before it become history. So let's see. Isaiah 53 in verse 4.
The book of Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 4. Surely he had borne of our grief and carried our sorrow. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgression.
Transgression meaning the laws. Read.
He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripe we are healed.
Read.
All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord had laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. See that?
Christ did not open his mouth. For all that he went through, Christ did not even open his mouth. When he was being beaten, when he began his beard ripped off his face, when he began bronze stick on top of his head, Christ did not murmur a word. He said nothing. Read.
He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter.
See what I just said? Christ was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, to be persecuted for us. Read.
And as a sheep before her shearer is dumb, so he opened it not his mouth.
And Christ did not open his mouth not one time. Not one time that Christ said, oh no man, no, see they got a mistake, man, no. He didn't say nothing. He kept silent. So we see Christ kept silent when he was being persecuted. That part of what Christ came to fulfill. The next thing that Christ came to fulfill was he's going to be beaten for our transgression. And we would read it, because we're going to go back there and read that again to show you how he was going to be beaten for our transgression. Give me Mark 14:65. Or probably whole Isaiah 53, because we're probably going to come back to.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 14, and verse 65. And some began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to buffet him, and to say unto him, prophesy, and the servant did strike him with the palm of their hand.
When I was reading this right here, just keeping it real, I got pissed off. Read that again.
Verse 65, and some began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to buffet him, and to say unto him, prophesy, and the servant did strike him with the palm of their hand.
So they all kind of discussed it there before our God, and then turn around, prophesy who hit you. You know, remember little kids used to do that back in school? They would run behind somebody, hit them, they'd be like, who hit you? But these people right here, spitting on our Lord and Savior, smacking him in his face, and you know they probably doing all kinds of stuff. They probably were just only hitting him with just the palm of their hand, probably doing all kind of stuff. But Christ did not mumble a word. He did not even argue with them. He did not try to make himself look right before them. Because he know he had to do what his Father said him to do. Go back to Isaiah 53 for me one more time. And we're just going to read from 4 all the way down to 9 at a time. Isaiah 53 and verse 4 again.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 53 and verse 4. Surely he had borne our grief and carried our sorrow, yet we did esteem his stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgression.
Because all the filth and all the abomination that we have done, how we went against God's laws and commandments, Christ had to go through all this for the nation of Israel. And this is why it just tee me off when you got people that's in the truth and you understand what's being brought before you now, and you being so stupid-minded, don't want to live in the world of sin. Read.
He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way. And the Lord had laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearer is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
So Christ did no harm, and there was no deceit in his mouth. Christ did nothing to deserve all what he went through, but he did it for the nation of Israel, that Israel can have that rightful path back to the Heavenly Father. So Isaiah prophesied a whole lot about Christ. As you see, give me chapter 50 and verse 6. Because he also speaking about this right here, about how the beacon was going to be.
But Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 6. I gave my back to the smitters, and my cheek to them that pluck off the hair.
See, his cheek that they pluck off the hair. You ever had your hair on your cheek pull off? That junk don't feel good. They did this to our Lord and Savior. As they smacking him in his face and spitting on him, and then asking him, who hit you? Boy, I can't, that day, all of them, Boy, when Christ come back, y'all got a game on y'all to play.
I hid not my face from shame and spitting.
And Christ did not hid his face. He took it as a man. He took it like a champ because he know what he had to come to fulfill. So we see the fulfillment that Christ had to do, that he had to be beaten and spitting on. It was prophesied by Isaiah, and it came to history in the book of Mark. The next thing we see, they say they placed him on his side, and his bones should not be broken. Give me that in John 19, and we'll start at verse 28. Let's find the history of what happened to Christ in John chapter 19.
The book of St. John, chapter 19 and verse 28. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled.
That what?
That the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now there was set a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished.
It is finished. So Christ tells right here in the short part that it be fulfilled. This was the fulfillment that Christ had to come to do. Not to do away with the law, to do what he had to go through. Read.
And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost.
Read.
The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day.
Pause. And letting you know they got a correction mark around it. It was a high day, meaning it was the Passover. It was not a regular Sabbath day. A lot of people actually think it was a regular Sabbath day. No, it was a high holy day. It was Passover. Read.
Besought Pilate that the legs might be broken and that they might be taken away.
So they had a tradition of the body still be out there, they still alive, you broke their leg. But let's see if Christ's leg was being broken. Read.
Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first, and of the other was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his leg.
So they did not broke his leg. Read.
But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water. And he that saw it bare record, and his record is true. And he knoweth that he said true, that ye might believe. For these things were done that the scripture should be fulfilled.
That what?
That the scripture should be fulfilled.
That the scripture should be fulfilled. Read.
A bone of him shall not be broken. And again, another scripture said, they shall look on him whom they pierced.
So they should look on him that who them pays. So who prophesies this? Give me Zechariah chapter 12 and 10. We got a couple of parts we're going to touch on that. Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 10. So we see that they praised Christ, they did not broke his leg, and we had a couple prophets prophesied on this area right here. Read.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced.
That whom they have pierced. Who did they pierce? Christ. They ain't pierced no Zacharias. They pierced Christ. He prophesied that Christ was going to be pierced. Pierced them. Read.
And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son.
And they shall mourn. Was not the people was down in mourning when they seen Christ being persecuted and placed on his side? Yes, there was. Read.
And shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his
For
firstborn.
their firstborn. So we see Zacharias prophesied that they were going to place Christ on his side like that. Give me Psalm 34. Who else prophesies this? What did Psalm prophesy? 34 and verse 20.
The book of Psalm chapter 34 and verse 20.
And this David prophesies in this.
He keepeth all his
He
bones.
do what?
He keepeth all his bones.
So David prophesied that he was going to keep all his bones. Read.
Not one of them is broken.
Because not one of them was broken. Those people broke Christ's bone? No, they didn't. The Romans did not broke it because they saw that Christ was dead already. So what did they do? They placed him on his side. And they said, what came up? Water and blood. Another word of water, this is going to be more deeper as I get to that point. The water is the words of God. The blood cleanses us from our sin. From that, they also got this right here, when you remember, it go way back during the time of Egypt. Give me Exodus 20 and 46. Why was Christ's bone was not broken? Because we know Christ is supposed to be the lamb. Let's see how we did the lamb back in through Egypt. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 46. This is going into the lamb that we have to do back then.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 46. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the house. Neither shall ye break a bone thereof.
See that? You should not even break a bone of the lamb. Just the same way how Christ had to be crucified. You should not, his bones should not be broken because the lamb represents Christ. So we kept the same thing, just how dumb the tribes and the Pharisees don't even realize that Christ was that symbol right there before their eyes. He was that lamb that we should not break the bone. Give me number 9:12. Yeah, right, John just said that. Numbers 9 and verse 12.
The book of Numbers, chapter 9 and verse 12. They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it.
Not even break any bones of it. So we see that this lamb had to be whole. When we cook that lamb, we have to cook it whole. And you could not break a bone of that lamb. So Christ is that lamb that was crucified for the nation of Israel. And we should not break a bone of it. Christ came to fulfill what was prophesied of him by the prophets. Next thing we're going to find out, Christ rose from the dead. Give me that in Mark 16 and 1. Mark 16 and verse 1.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 16 and verse 1. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. And they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre?
So they had a big stone in front of the sepulchre where Christ was buried at. And they were asking, who's going to help us move that stuff? Because we can't move it by ourselves. Because that's how heavy that stuff really was. You imagine how many people probably moved in front of his grave that nobody couldn't move it. Read.
And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were affrighted. And he said unto them, Be not affrighted. Ye seek Jesus of Nazareth, which was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold the place where they laid him.
So right here we see Christ was risen from the dead. Right here. This history, the prophecy became history in the book. So who prophesies this? Go back to Psalm 16. Psalm 16, and we're going to start at verse 10.
The book of Psalm, chapter 16 and verse 10. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither will thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption.
So right here we see that Christ, read it again.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
Thou shalt not leave my soul in hell. You know, before I came into the truth, Christianity actually had me thinking that Christ went down into hell. But that ain't had nothing to talk about that right there.
Right.
The hell that this right here talking about is the grave. He should not leave my soul in the grave. That's what they're talking about. Read.
Neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption.
Neither should thou suffer the Holy One to see corruption, meaning letting the body decay. Christ's body had not decayed in the grave. From there, let me get Genesis 22 and 1. So David prophesied that Christ should not be in the grave. Another book Eli brought out a while back, in the book of Jonah, also talk about Christ going to be in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights. Read.
The book of Genesis, chapter 22 and verse 1. And it came to pass, after these things, that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am.
So now we're going way back in the book of Genesis, and we're going to touch on our forefather who was a friend unto God. And God used him and used his son for a symbolize of what the Savior would have to go through. But read.
And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son Isaac.
Thy only son Isaac. Oh, everybody remember Eli Clad that Abraham had one son? No, he had more than one son. So why would God told Abraham thy only begotten son? Who remember? Go ahead.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you raise your hand.
Because he was going to come through his wife.
Well, what's the key point? Just one word I'm looking.
Because the promise going to come through Isaac.
There you go. God made a promise through Isaac that Isaac will be the chosen one out of the promises. So this is why God said, thy only begotten son. Read.
Whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Read.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and cleaved the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off.
On the 3rd day, Isaac saw where he's supposed to crucify his son. Read.
And Abraham said unto his young man, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you.
So Isaac had already faith that him and his son going to come back. Because he said, me and the lad will come back unto you. Read.
And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son.
Who catch that part right there? What did Abraham do? Abraham laid the wood upon Isaac, meaning he had to carry the wood. What did Christ do? He carried the cross. The symbolizing of it, he had to carry the world's sin. Read.
And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angels of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold him, a ram caught in a thicket by his horn. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
So right here we see Abraham's son was a symbolizing of Christ being crucified. When you look at the word ram, what's a ram? It's a male sheep. So right here we see that Christ was going to be that lamb for the nation of Israel, and he was going to be crucified for us as well. But he was going to be risen on the third day. Everything in the Bible had a similar through it, even to the point of when his son asked him, Father, where's the lad? I mean, where's that? And his father said, God will provide one for us. But did his son keep on going with it? No, he stayed humble. And when his father finally got to the place, his father tied him up and laid him on the altar. Did he? Anyway, the story say that Isaac fight his father? No. He was humble.
Daddy, what the hell you doing?
Oh, damn the devil. He stayed humble with it. Kids these days, time now, no, they won't call child protective, so they ain't trying to kill me. So right here we see in the Bible, it was prophesied of Christ rising from the dead in the book of Psalm, and also a stereotype of what's going to happen to him in the book of Genesis. Last one, Christ exalted at God's right hand. Meaning all the stuff that Christ had to go to and fulfill, he was exalted unto the Father. Give me that 1 Peter 3:22. First Peter chapter 3 and verse 22.
The book 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 22. Who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authority and power being made subject unto him.
Showing you that Christ have all power in his hand. And everything going to be subject unto Christ. Christ did what his Father will was, and now he being glorified for it. Give me that in Psalm 110. Because David also prophesied this to be. Psalm 110, and we're going to start at verse 1.
The book Psalm chapter 10 and 110 and verse 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of the power and the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of the youth. The Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the days of his wrath.
Through kings in the days of his wrath. Talk about these last days. Christ coming back and he going to smite every king on the face of this earth. Read.
He shall judge among the heathen.
And he going to judge among the heathen. Read.
He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook and the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head.
So this right here show you when Christ come back, they going to be dead bodies. So where in the world Christianity get this lovey thing from? Ain't nowhere in the Bible. When Christ come back, they're going to be destruction. So we see in the first part, they were saying, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemy thy footstool. Who saw this right here? Who could back David up in what he just said? Give me that in the book of Acts, chapter 7. Acts chapter 7, and we're going to go to verse 55. Who bear record of this right here?
The book of Acts chapter 7 and verse 55. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, looked upon steadfastly in heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing on the right hand of God.
Standing what?
Standing on the right hand of God.
So Stephen saw Christ standing on the right hand of God. How could Stephen see this? Because at this point, Stephen was being put to death. They were killing Stephen because Stephen called them off for their wickedness. And the people did not like it. They got mad and they stoned Stephen to death. And as Stephen's spirit was leaving his body, he saw Christ on the right hand of the Lord. Read.
And said, behold, I see the heaven open and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. Then they cried out with a loud voice, stopped their ears, and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city.
So right here we see that the people got mad because Stephen cut them with the words of God. But the part I want to get out this, Stephen saw Christ on the right hand of the Father. So we see that it was prophesied by David when Christ went to the heaven. Christ revealed it unto Stephen to document it in the book, to show you it was fulfilled that Christ will be on the right hand of the Father. And with that, I say most high bless. I say God understand until next time.